Hey up everybody, and welcome back to the Audi Cycling YouTube channel, where today we're going to be taking a look at the Trofeo Laigueglia, the third round of the Superclasico in VELOGAMES. Apologies, I didn't get around to doing a Kerner-Brussels-Kerner video. I just had a very busy weekend and I just really ran out of time. Pretty simple as that. Honestly, I don't think my advice would have been massively helpful anyway, to be honest, so I think it actually might have been a bit more beneficial for my street credit that I just kept my yap shut that time around. But Trofeo Laigueglia, this is sort of the parcours we're looking at. 197 kilometers, takes in the Colle Micheli like 4 times, and it's a pretty tough race. We saw Lenny Martinez win this race last year. We've seen Mario van Zevenont win this race in the past. 2 kilometers at 8%, taking it in 4 times. It's certainly one for the punchers, and there are plenty of those in this race. It's perhaps lacking kind of massive names in this race, but you know, we want to just keep taking away at those points. I haven't done like a massive in-depth analysis of the start list, so this is going to be fairly off the cuff. I've only looked at the start list like once, and yeah, I'm doing this today just because I'm fairly certain I'm going to be in the lab like all day tomorrow. And I think I'm going to be getting back a bit late, so I thought I'd do this today. Paulus, I think, is a good choice. He was, he looked pretty good in Portugal by and large. I think, he was working for Rui Costa in the Figueira Champions Classic, so can't read too much into that result. But in Algarve, he was looking pretty strong. Did a good TT. That's usually quite a good sign against the clock of how somebody's really going. And so I think that Paulus, to win, I'm not too sure, but certainly to be getting a top 10, I think is pretty safe. Ayuso won the Phone Drone Classic. I'm getting a bit too confused. But he won, or it might have been the Phone Ardèche. Either way, he got 10th in one of them and he won the other one. So he's clearly in good form, so I think he's a sound choice. Bettiol, not so much. Just haven't seen enough of him this year, or enough good results at least. Sheffield, I think, is, again, kind of similar to Paulus. I'm not sure how Sheffield would win. I don't think he's the punchiest rider, but I think that he's just a solid one to be picking up a top 10, nice and safe. Ulissi, Astana will be stacking people inside the top 10. You can almost guarantee that because they are trying to fight to stay out of the relegation battle. Ulissi, can he do something? Last time we saw him was in Tour of Oman, which he DNF'd because he was ill. He'd probably recovered from that. It would have to be a pretty serious illness to not be feeling well by now. So I think Ulissi, a little bit of an unknown, but if you want to take a bit more of a risk and a differential, I think Ulissi will be slightly lower selected than most. Morgado wasn't quite living up to my expectations in Omloop Het Nieuwsblad, but then again, I thought it was going to be more of a nutritional race, so that probably explains that. But Morgado, needless to say, he's a good choice. Look at his one-day results from this year. They are almost second to none. So he's a good choice. Rota, again, for a top 15, nice and safe. He was top 10, or yes, he was top 10 in the Figueira Champions Classic. So that's kind of one of the better comparisons for a race to this one, because it just included some short, sharp climbs. Zana, yeah, to me, I haven't seen enough of Zana this year, kind of like Bettiol. Laurence, I'd have a lot more faith in Laurence, but in Ruta del Sol, he just didn't look that great. He was in my team there, probably in quite a few people's teams, I expect. But he just didn't look that great. I don't really know why, and that's certainly making me question whether to put him on for this race. In theory, he is a good choice. I think the parcours is very suited to him, but I'm apprehensive to pick him just because he didn't look great in Ruta del Sol. I'm not really sure why that was the case, but again, a bit like Ulissi, if you're looking for more of a differential, that's certainly a guy. Velasco could do something, but that's really kind of clutching at straws a bit. I would say that somebody like Ulissi would be their more favoured son for this race. Into the 12 credit riders, I'd say that Kwiatkowski's your best one. Obviously, he won Klassiker HN. I might say that was from the breakaway. Velens, he punctured out of there. So, that win was good, but there was no real mano-a-mano competition going on there. So I don't really know what Kwiatkowski's true strength is at the moment. I want to say that it's good, but part of me also thinks that he won that solo. there was a lot of Group 2 dynamics going on behind. He just, got the right move at the right time. And I just want to be, very matter of fact. Does that mean that he is in good form or not? We want to be making the best VELOGAMES teams here at the end of the day. So Kwiatkowski, I've still got a little bit of a question mark over, I must admit. But based upon that one result, he is a good choice. Going into Stadi as well, so maybe another one to think about there. The 10 credit riders got some decent ones. I like Fabio Christen, but he didn't look that great in Omloop. If he was in that front group, I'd certainly be more tempted to pick him. But this is a park course which does suit him quite a lot. The duo of De Preto and Foldaga are both sound choices. I'm not sure who they'd go for. Probably both. I think De Preto I'd give a slight edge to as kind of a lighter, because he's a lighter rider. Perhaps climbs a bit better than Foldaga, who I'd a bit taller. So either one of those two are pretty good. Archie Ryan, I would love to recommend. I'm a big fan of Archie Ryan, but there hasn't been enough good results coming from him this year. Scaroni, on the other hand, what a shout. 10 credits. I mean, this guy's in form at the moment. He's probably one of the first people who I was thinking of putting on my start list, on my team for this race. So Scaroni, big recommendation for him. The 8 credit riders, some kind of stranger ones. Maybe Ewan Costu. He was good in Tour de la Provence. He was definitely always animating the race. More of a climber, I'd say. So I think that Ewan Costu could certainly be a bit of a surprise. Jordan Jaja could certainly be another interesting one. Ferron, wasn't he the one who won the Grand Prix de la Marseillaise? But this is obviously a pretty different race to that. Nerurka, obviously up to 8 credits from 6 credits last year. Again, haven't seen loads of results from him this year, but I think that if there is a race which is going to suit him, it would be this one. Marcelluzzi in Gran Camino, what was it, stage 2? He finished just behind Magnus Cort Nielsen. Good puncher, so certainly one to think about too. Into the 6 credit riders, I want to see Louis Barret. What I think is a great choice. He looks in good form at the moment. No, he hasn't been winning races, but he's been obviously in great form, and form is form at the start of the year. It just carries on from race to race. So I think Louis Barret is a great choice for you to be picking. Cepeda possibly. It's also worth noting there is a descent down to the finish, so you never quite know. You need to think about somebody's descending abilities as well. Engelhardt can pull out some okay performances every now and again. I think they'll probably go with somebody else. Fanchelu does climb very well. We saw that in, I think it was Oman, or no, it was the Saudi tour, wasn't it? The Alula tour. So certainly one to think about. Jesus Harada usually he can pull out a result every now and again. So can Pierre Latour. Not the best descender though. It's worthwhile noting. So maybe not. Adrien Mayer again was also good in Tour de la Provence. So I think he's certainly worthwhile thinking about too. And Rafferty, possibly. He actually came top 10 in this race last year, a little bit out of nowhere, so riders can just pull a result out of the bag kind of randomly. Rafferty's been more domestique this year, haven't seen him doing too much, but Irish champs kit, so he's pretty easy to identify. Pablo Torres, obviously the big talent for UAE Team Emirates XRG. They also have Morgado, and they have a Yuzo. I think they'd probably more likely go with those two, but Torres is a hard name to look past, and I think that he could certainly get assist points at the very least, and on a good day could certainly finish top 20 as well. And honestly, other than that, I haven't really looked at it for credit riders. I think that you don't really need them. This isn't too much of a budget intense race. Don't get confused. Tom Pidcock has not turned into 4 credits. And honestly, that's about it. This is my team at the moment. This is a 100 credit team. It works out pretty well. I think this is a really good just base team that any one of you can use. I don't think it'll be the winner. I think that realistically, one of these guys just one or two of these guys is going to be, for some reason, just not that great. Maybe it'll be Kwiatkowski. I might change this team around just a little bit, where instead of Kwiatkowski, you could put on, it could be a matter of Foldaga does really well, or De Preto. I'm actually quite a fan, just from what I was saying, Louis Barret I think could be really good. But then honestly, there isn't just enough high price riders in this race to really get me up to 100 credits. So the OCD among us will be absolutely hating that. But part of me thinks that you don't need 100 credits to win this. I think that the winning team could certainly be below it this time round. But let me know what you're thinking in the comment sections down below. Obviously, this has been quite a whistle-stop tour. So if there are people who have missed out and you think deserve a little bit more attention for us all, put it in the comment section down below, because that is always really useful. When you guys can act as additional sources for us all to look at, it's really good to have that community in the comments. And yeah, put your teams down there as well. And all that is left to say is to stay safe out there, and I will see you in the next video. Salut!